right, at this time, we'll call the December 10th Planning and Zoning Committee meeting to order. The first order of business, I need to adopt the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I'll second it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Need to approve the minutes from November 19th. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Public comments. I don't see anybody wants to make public comments, so we'll check that off. All right, unfinished business. That would be Mr. Derek Hooten. The microphone is yours, sir. Let me get my pen out.
I greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
What we're going to talk about today, some of the changes that I have talked with PD COG about on the subdivision ordinances. Spoke with them yesterday. They will have a draft ready for council to look at in January. Well, for the committee to look at. And I'm not sure what all that's going to entail, but I do know I sent them some stuff on the solar farms after our meeting last week or last month. And so some things that I've been looking at, and I've been reading different counties' ordinances, trying to, rather than reinventing the wheel, steal shamelessly from other counties. So, and I've talked with some folks, some different folks in the county, and gotten their input on things that we might not want to do. So I'm going to briefly run over them. One thing that I don't want to change is heirs to property. You know, if someone receives a piece of property from a deceased family member, I want them to be able to do with it what they want to do. We don't need rules and regulations to stop that. Now, if they inherit 500 acres and they want to do a solar farm, then they'll have to go by our guidelines. But, you know, a piece of property that doesn't have the road frontage, or, you know, we've got setbacks that they have to meet that their family members would have had to meet. So I feel like that still needs to be in place. So other than maybe tweaking the section for the heirs, there's some exceptions in there that heirs of property does not affect. So anyway, I do want to tweak it a little bit. Also, property bought for the intention of subdividing before the date that we establish this. It's of my opinion that we grandfather that in. I would like some feedback, but, you know, they would still have to go by the guidelines. But so if somebody bought 3 acres and we increased the lot size to a ½ acre, you know, when they bought it with the intention, and, you know, I don't have drawings, but we've had conversations about it. Do I grandfather that in or not? It's my opinion that we do. That I've had conversations with people. These subdivisions that have been on the books for 30 years? No. I totally disagree with grandfathering that in.
So-
Because I just had an incident last week, subdivision it's been cut out since the beginning of time. And not a county-maintained road. It could be considered an extension of a county-maintained road, but it's not. But it's recorded, and they've got 15 or 20 lots on this road that I don't know what the answer is, other than if somebody buys property there, they have to be able to get to it.
I have a question just for clarity purposes. So I want to go back a little bit. You said if somebody has bought land for the purpose of subdividing it. and
Right.
Let's say 3 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was, with the intention of subdividing it, grandfather them in. But if it was bought and subdivided and we just hadn't built anything on it 10 or 15, 20 years ago, you're saying don't grandfather that in?
I need guidance.
Well, no, and I'm asking because I agree with you. So
You
what you
know,
were speaking of, can I ask you a question? Was it
absolutely.
left, just, because I'm trying to wrap my head around, because I see there's a lot to unpack here, right? Was it subdivided then and just nothing done to it, or was it left as agricultural land at a certain point and now they're breaking it? They had a plan, they just hadn't done it.
I have not done enough research to be able to say whether it is still in ag rates
Right.
or whether it's in residential rates. I don't know.
It just seems hard.
There's
to
so
grandfather
many.
Something in that's still paying agricultural rates. If you had a plan, that's one thing. If you subdivided it,
There's,
I absolutely see how you grandfather that in, but if it's just.
there's plenty here.
Yeah.
If it's already on the books and it's subdivided, I don't see that you can stop that. I don't think you should stop.
I don't think so either.
If it's already subdivided, I think you just go with that and draw a line in the sand going forward.
Okay, so do we require them to put in a road? That's the biggest thing.
With a subdivision, because we currently have to do that now, don't we?
Yeah, if you, well, there's, on this one particular one, 15?
Question is, was it subdivided and approved at a time, I guess, was the plan put in place, they just didn't do anything? Because now we're getting down to what kind of time frame we're gonna give them to do something, if we're not gonna grandfather.
They
it
just
in.
subdivided it and didn't do anything else, right? Is that what you're saying,
They
Derek?
got the green light to go, they just subdivided it and stopped, for whatever reason, the economy went bad, they just weren't ready, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of that matters.
But don't we currently have to put in a road with our existing ordinance now, Derek?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
it
it's
would
got
have
to be
to.
paved and everything.
So I think what he's saying, it would follow the existing ordinance. So like if, just say, for instance, if the existing ordinance now, you just had to put in a gravel road. Now, the new one would have to be a paved road, so they would fall in the gravel road portion. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and that's my question, do you follow the guidelines that were in place when they were approved and subdivided originally? If they subdivided, if they didn't subdivide it, I don't know how you grandfather, what are you grandfathering in? I mean, a conversation, I mean, I'm okay if we do grandfather it, I don't know how you justify it.
I don't want to be the one that it falls in my lap, that I have to make the decision.
That's not a fun conversation for anybody.
I mean, it kind of falls in a line with like if, the solar farms, if they had already come and gotten a permit from you, then we had to grandfather that in. So now we need to make the decision with these properties that's already been subdivided prior to now, would they be like, would you handle them like you would a permit, grandfather it in? That's what he wants to kind of get an answer to, so he'll know how to handle that going forward.
Right.
Well, there's two ways to look at that. You can use the ordinance that was in place at the time that it was broke down
Right.
and say it's grandfathered to that time frame of the ordinance. So at that time, you may have been able to have a gravel road. I don't know, I'm just
So
saying.
the county was probably still taking roads then in a lot of cases.
And,
If that's the case,
and part of what we're going to do is, I'm going to recommend we do minor, major subdivisions, one of them paved, one not.
I was gonna say, I'm definitely an advocate of that. Of having a size limits, on number of houses, adhere to certain restrictions restrictions versus a larger
Yes.
subdivision, as you said.
Go in detail about that.
I'd love to
Yeah,
hear that, because I'm an advocate
Yeah,
for that.
where's the line between major?
Large and major.
I thought
Okay.
this was a
Versus
grand
minor.
idea.
It's gonna be 10, 15, or 20 for minor. And then, because I did not finish reading it. Now, you gotta understand, I've read 6 different counties' ordinances. And the last one I read was 600 and something pages. And they're running together now.
We haven't seen Derek in weeks. He's been hid in his office.
Horry County, they've got a minor subdivision, and then in that category, they've got 3 minor subdivisions. And then they have major subdivision. Anything over 30 houses is a major subdivision in Horry County. Now, that's,
When he proposed it to me, I liked it.
I like the idea. I think that, what you could do is say, you know, a minor subdivision, say 5, 10, 15, if they fall anywhere in those numbers, whatever the case may be, you allow a gravel road, for example. Here's the thing, is that would we rather develop that land that's landlocked and get tax money off of it, or continue to use it as agricultural use? So, I think when you're looking at it from those perspectives, that's most of what you're gonna see that happen on is gonna be landlocked land. It's gonna have 100 foot of road frontage, you know?
But I agree with this 100%. Would it make sense to, and just talking out loud here, thinking out loud, 10 or less, 10 to 20, or say 15 or less, 15 to 30, and then over 30? I mean, I don't know if we need 12 categories.
and I don't have all the details worked out yet. I spoke with PD cog yesterday, and all of us are putting our heads together on where we're at.
I'd like
Now-
to see where they do the gravel road. I don't mind that. I just think the county doesn't need to take the roads,
No,
obviously.
no way.
Right.
Totally agree.
But you could put a plan in place that says you have to keep that road up, whoever the developer is, or put a HOA in place.
Yep. And would you require, like on those major subdivisions, you know, we require a bond. Would you require a bond to that extent on that? I don't know how much of a bond you would do on a gravel road, but you know, we just got to think it out, you know?
All right, time out. We're going to take a 5-minute recess. We'll start back in just a second.
Call this.
True.
Forgot where I was at. Now, we're talking about minor and major subdivisions. Again, I don't have all the details, but what I'm wanting to do is have a section for minor subdivisions. Currently, when you build up to 4, but when you build that 5th one, where no new road, state or county, has to be built, then that falls in, let's see, it's exempt from subdivision ordinance. If it's a long road that's there now.
Got frontage on it.
But if you've got to build a new road, then you fall under the subdivision ordinance. And I think we're limiting our local folks on that.
I agree with that.
And so, again, myself and PD cog are working on it. And I don't have an answer today, and I apologize for that. But this is a lot more than I ever thought.
Derek, I was gonna mention about those roads, so even if you go with a minor subdivision, and you don't require someone to pave the road, you could still put in specs to a paved road too, where you gotta have ditches on the sides, or whatever the case may be, and the fact that the county won't take the road over, meaning you gotta have a plan in place to maintain that road, either through an HOA,
Right.
or through the person that's building the houses has to maintain the road.
It would, and you're exactly right. It would have to either be a HOA or a bond in place from the subdivider or the developer, that who knows in the next 10 years what we will be doing.
That's right.
But I want to get these rules in place that at least will be a good guideline 10, 15 years from now.
Well, I really like the idea of holding them to the 66 feet right away in the ditches and where it's approved to be surveyed and paved at a later date if necessary by, because you don't know what.
It'll still have to meet DOT specs.
Right. And it'll be in a position where it can without taking
If you do
pictures.
that, it'll be 90% better than most dirt roads we have in the county.
Right,
So, I mean, most dirt roads don't even have gravel.
right.
You could require gravel on them, packed to a certain spec, and then ditches on the side. And if it ever wanted to be paved at a later point,
So that would be for
Meets the
minor
requirements.
subdivisions.
That would
So
be minor,
Anything
Right.
20 and under,
Major,
right.
major's a different animal.
I think that number could be, up for debate, but I think you
Okay.
certainly need to have a minor and a major where your smaller developers can compete with your larger developers. Because the larger developers will go in and put 100 homes and 80 homes, with all these amenities and all this stuff, and, you don't want that to look a certain kind of way.
And, I spoke earlier of talking to some folks out in the public, and they really made me think, because I have wanted to increase the lot size from a 1/4 acre to a 1/2 acre. Simply because my thinking was, in order for septic, setbacks, and all that. Well, that's really not a good reason. Because if we stick with 1/4 acre lot, or 10,000 square feet, the septic, if they can't put it in, then they can't build a house. And then we've got the setback regulations. If they can't meet the setback regulations, so right there's 2 things we already have in place to control it. That was my personal preference, was at least a half-acre lot.
Well, your minimum septic tank system in the county is in sand land, gonna be about 130 foot reduced with infiltrators. That's in sand land. If you go up to clay, you're gonna have you could get up to 800 feet, drain field lines. So once you do that, plus your setbacks, you can't put a house there. So like you're saying, I agree with you. That pretty much knocked the house out anyway.
Well, you do, but the house ends up looking like that.
So,
The house ends up looking like that. It's 3 stories and 20 feet by 20 feet, and that's all you got, right?
Yeah.
Because you couldn't meet the requirements.
You couldn't meet the requirements.
and so, we've already got 2 rules in place for that. And so, I'm going to retract what I've said since the beginning, going to a half-acre lot. I say we stick with quarter-acre lot and let these other 2 items dictate whether they can build a house there or not.
What's our current setback for the size?
10 foot, isn't it?
10 feet?
What's the setback on the sides, Derek, the county?
10 feet.
10.
It's 30 feet on the front, 25 on the back.
So that's worst-case scenario where you got houses 20 feet apart, which I think is kind of the minimum in my mind.
Yeah, you got 10 on each side, so you get 20 feet apart. Yeah.
And if they're any closer than that, then you have to have fire retardant siding.
Correct.
So there are rules in place for these large-scale subdivisions that when they want to put 5 more houses on a block and put them where you can pass sugar from one window to the next, you got to have fire retardant siding.
So we'll let them encroach on that 10 feet with certain stipulations, but how close do you let them get? Do we have that in the ordinance yet?
Right now, you can't get within 10, I mean,
Okay.
No.
10 feet.
That's it.
That's
I think
it.
that's a good minimum.
I have no problem with that minimum.
I mean, I think that's, listen, and I don't care what kind of siding you have. 20 feet with a house that's fully engulfed, it may not burn, but it'll melt.
Totally agree.
It'll melt side, no, for sure.
There's some in Florence that are 3 feet off the property line.
I watched, go up here and see Mr. Griffin, have him show you what the pictures look like inside a gun safe that didn't burn in a house, and you open it up, everything inside it's in ashes. Safe didn't burn, but everything else is in ashes.
Right.
You can't, I mean, I think, I don't know, again, I've said this before, but I grew up in an area where houses were 16 feet apart, and I've seen it on more than one occasion what happens when one catches on fire. It's just, and again, I don't know how we try to save everybody from themselves, but I mean, I think 10 feet's good in my opinion, but anyway.
Derek, are you addressing flag lots with them, or?
Yes, sir.
My opinion I have, Todd and I spoke about this, I think during the last meeting, but as long as they have enough to get fire trucks in, personally, I don't know that we should regulate that, as long as we go with a minimum road frontage and they can flag out,
Well, I agree with you. I think the minimum road frontage needs to be reasonable, because it goes back to what you said earlier. If somebody wants to develop it and put 5 houses in there, and they can have 30 feet of road frontage,
I am,
if the fire truck can't get down it because they choose to not maintain their 200-foot driveway, I mean, there's a lot of people that have 200-foot driveways in this county that we can't
Oh, yeah.
regulate. So
I'm
Most
gonna give y'all, well,
I'd rather develop it, because again,
Darlington
agriculture or residential.
Darlington County has got flag lots addressed about as good as any ordinance I've read so far. They have a minimum width on the flagpole. I want to say theirs is 30 feet. Don't hold me to that. But then the flagpole can be no longer than 580 feet, I think's what it is.
Generous.
But then you have to have,
Fields.
then it's got it to where you have to have certain setbacks, a certain size, in order for you to build a house on it.
Well, for an example, if you had 50 foot on a road, right, and it goes in and opens up into, say, 20 acres, and someone wanted to go in there and put 5 lots in there, or 4 lots at 5 acres or roughly a piece, you know, in the case we're talking about, that would be a minor subdivision. They'd have enough road frontage that they could get a road into it and break them off.
And the difference in what you're talking about and just a true flag lot would be the width of the road. If you're gonna put more than one house, then you've got to have
66, where you can go both ways.
to where you can go both ways.
In that case, you would suggest 66 feet or whatever the
You can get by with 50.
50, okay.
Here's my question about that. If we've got somebody who wants to do flag lots, typically they're doing it so they can have road frontage and not have to put a road in. Well, if the ordinance says, well, at this number of houses, you just have to have a gravel road, we're probably gonna find that it's easier for the guy that's got 900 feet going in. It's cheaper for him to cut one gravel road and a few driveways than have a 500-foot driveway, a 400-foot driveway, because he's got to cut all those in too.
That's it.
right?
It's cheaper, yeah.
Yeah, so he'll be better off just put the one gravel road in down
Yeah,
the side.
for sure.
I mean, I think it'll kind of protect this.
That might cut down on the flags, possibly.
The example I brought y'all a couple meetings ago, that's what we're trying to eliminate. I mean, there's some property, you've got to have a flag lot. And I don't think we're in the business of telling people what they can and can't do with their property.
Right.
We want to make it, we want to put restrictions on it, but we want to make it usable. So,
I agree.
and I'm sorry, I did not bring that. I've got it printed off on my desk. But it's a great example of how to control flag lots. Not eliminate them, just control them. And trust me, I've read and read and read, and that's the only one that I've read that makes good sense.
So that's gonna be added when you come before us next time, that's gonna be added.
Yes, ma'am.
PDCOG. So when we meet with PDCOG in January, will we be making a decision that day? No, okay.
This will be so y'all can see what's going on. And
How much longer are you anticipating us needing that emergency moratorium?
I can't answer that, Ms. Anderson.
That's a good question. though.
Because, and I know I get hit with it almost daily. But where we're at today, it would be a shame if we get in a hurry and just rush through it. Because every time I start doing research, that leads me to 5 other places. So, and that's what PDCOG, they're in the same boat. And so I'm trying to make what is the best for Chesterfield County.
So will PDCOG, you said they would have us an update in January sometime. And do you feel like with the information you've given them, we'll have hopefully a proposed something to go on? I mean, we'll have something that we can start to work on?
Oh, absolutely.
So we just started that, a new 60 days started Monday? Is that right? What was the date?
Yeah, I think it was Monday.
So if we could have that first half
That'll be
of
a
January,
draft. You'll have a draft of what we're talking about.
at
So
that
now,
point,
you wanted to bring the draft to this committee, and then they present it
Correct.
to full council, is what he's wanting to do.
so if we can get that in our hands, I think by the first half of January, and just, we commit to just, it's gonna take some time. But I think we could probably, it would be reasonable if we would just give it a couple of days. It might be long days.
I'd like to read it. I'd like to sit and
Read through
read
it
it.
and
Yeah.
tweak whatever we need to tweak, or we feel like it's fair to send it to full council. I mean, I don't know if we can get it done in that 60 days, but I think it'd be close.
It would be good for, and what he can do is send it to you all prior to the meeting, so you won't be spending all your time during the meeting reading it then, read it prior to the meeting, and then, y'all discuss
We
it.
could
You're saying
have it
PD cog's gonna come to our planning, or to our meeting? Is-
They-
which one are they coming to?
That, I can have them come to both. That's no
We need
problem.
to have it come to planning first and then come to our meeting. If they come to planning, then you guys can look over, it. We can all, whomever, look over it.
Exactly. That, I would say they come to this committee first, present it. Y'all give feedback. And I would love to see every council member here. That's the time to have discussions. The full council meeting is not the time. When we present it to full council, that's time to vote.
Sure. So I was thinking maybe we could, we need to look at it, but our meeting in January is gonna be, the second Monday, and it's gonna be, in the evening, and then we're gonna have a briefing at the end of January, and then maybe that briefing could be when everybody is welcome to come to the planning meeting. But then at least we'd have a couple of weeks in between before the briefing, and then if we could, I don't wanna rush it either, but I also don't wanna hold up people who have been waiting, and we pushed the moratorium, pushed it.
But I feel like if-
Do we have people that are waiting though, Derek? I mean, are people knocking the door down to put in subdivisions and mobile home parks and RV parks? I haven't heard.
You haven't? Okay.
I mean, somebody asked me that, and so I asked Derek, do you have anybody knocking your door down? And we don't, so.
Okay, I've just had realtors who said that they have property owners who want to be able to sell property to folks, and that they feel like this moratorium is holding them up, and how much longer do we have to keep kicking it down the road?
I don't wanna kick it.
My answer is that we need to get it right. That's more important that we get it right than we rush to it. But I think as long as folks know that we are legitimately working on making sure that we're making the right decisions, then
Derek, are you making any changes on RV parks? Are you working with, I know we've discussed subdivisions a lot, but there's two other items, which is mobile home parks and RV parks.
Yeah.
What, do you have any update as far as like mobile home parks or anything like that? I know you guys, the prior council before I got here already made some
We made some changes.
to the mobile home. Do we think that's sufficient, the ones that we have?
It could be. It could be.
And to clarify, when somebody does a permit for a mobile home park, that park has to always stay a park. You can't go in after the fact and subdivide those lots, correct? So if I come to you and I get a permit for a mobile home park of 30 houses, I keep it for 2 years, and then I'd say I want to break it down into lots that I can sell off now. Is that permittable?
There's nothing in writing that says it can't happen. That's part of the stuff that I'm trying to get to. Because
Because I could see that being a previous workaround, if you will, to developing a mobile home tract, if you will. You come in, you get a mobile home permit for a park. 2 years later, you subdivide each mobile home onto its own lot. Now you have a mobile home subdivision, if you will. Correct? So,
and we've got nothing unless.
I thought when somebody got a permit for a mobile home park, that park had to stay a park. No?
And the question just came up yesterday, if you have a RV campground set up, established, running, can John Doe come in and buy it and continue running it, redo it, change it? We don't have anything in this book that says no.
Those are two items that are even more important than, I feel like probably more than the home side of this thing is, because you look at it from a tax standpoint, you're making a lot more money with homes than you would a
And
mobile.
I don't know how campgrounds are taxed.
Just on the camper, right? Is that right, Michelle?
That's just through DMV.
We don't get any money off campers, right?
Not unless they register them here.
So we don't generate any revenue
No.
from that.
Because I know of somebody, you know, that had their camper and their vehicles registered in North Carolina, but they were living here. That's been several years ago, but yeah.
So theoretically, someone could buy 15 travel trailers, register them in another county, and put them on an RV park here. The county gets zero money from that, just to be clear, right? Isn't that right?
That's correct.
This is the kind of conversation I've been wanting to have.
You know, what kind of procedures could we put in place to,
Well, I mean, I think you encourage people to build homes because you definitely gaining tax revenue off of that. Even mobile homes, you're gaining tax revenue off of that, although they do depreciate, as they sit longer versus homes normally tend to appreciate on the tax bills.
I just wonder,
So-
like on hookups, on electric hookups, somehow or another, could we catch it that way? But had they, with the temporary hookups before, isn't that,
In the state of South Carolina, it's illegal to live in a camper.
That's right.
But because they are defined as temporary housing. But in Horry County, look at how many campers that are down there that people permanently live in.
Build onto them and stuff.
I don't have an answer. This is one that Coleman and myself have not been able to sit down and say, okay, so there are a lot of people that are living in RVs in this county currently. And it's growing daily.
I don't necessarily have a problem with them living it, if that's the best someone can do. I don't have a problem with that. I just think that whoever owns it, somehow the county should be able to gain the tax dollars off of what's being put here permanently,
Just like park models, they're not taxable.
There you go. So, that's the concern I have. That's the only one is, I don't mind it's all relative to what someone can afford to live in or whatever, but if that's the case, then we still need to be gaining, whoever owns that needs to be paying taxable dollars in the county that is parked,
Well, let me run over a few more things, and then if y'all would like, I can sit here and talk with all of you all day. Got no problem with it, because I enjoyed this interaction. That's what I've been asking for since day one. There are several sections in our ordinance currently where preliminary plats, if there has to be some type of waiver or extension for good cause, like to a subdivision, currently it states that it has to go before the planning commission prior to any of that happening. To me, we shouldn't ask the planning commission to meet every time somebody needs an extension or somebody that needs some type of waiver. I think that should be left up to the staff to make that decision. I'm gonna put that in there. If y'all don't like it, strike it. That's all I can tell you to do, because it's hard to get enough people here anyway for a big meeting. And if you start having a meeting, a couple of meetings a month for an extension or a waiver, then we'll just drag out time.
I think this makes it hard for you to do your job, because you have to wait. I think
Right.
that,
Another thing is, I mentioned earlier, once a subdivision is approved, there needs to be a time limit on how long that subdivision can sit there without any work being done. Now, that's once everything is final and complete. Currently, we've got some that's 30 years old, paying ag rates. I also feel like that once a subdivision is approved, you start paying taxes on all those lots. Every one of them.
correct.
It's not like that today. And that's really out of my realm of work.
Would it not be easy enough to, once it's approved, if you subdivided, started paying residential rates, at that point, if it takes you a few years, you're grandfathered in. If you get it approved and you do nothing for 2 years, I'm okay with that.
My
If the rules
suggestion is
change-
2 years.
If the rules change, you have to meet the new rules. If you made no
And,
headway.
and then once that 2 years is up, now, you're gonna have different circumstances. But then, if that subdivider decides, hey, we've run into this issue, can we get an extension? Yeah. One time, 1 year. So that would be maximum 3 years from the date of approval. Then, if that time lapses, then they have to start all over from square one. That's in just about every ordinance that I've read. And I like it. Because we are losing a lot of revenue today because you've got all these subdivisions cut up that's on GIS, and they're paying ag rates.
Hey, we definitely shouldn't be doing that. Once that lot is approved to be broke out, it needs to go residential rates regardless. I don't care what kind of guidelines you go by.
And if I'm not mistaken, Coleman, isn't that state law? I think it is.
State law that it has to be taxed as a lot.
Yeah, it's got to be, once it is cut out,
Yeah,
it's supposed to be taxed.
oh, yeah.
But then people will come back and say, hey, I don't want to pay, I want you to leave this cut out, but I just want to pay ag rates.
No.
Well, I don't see how you can be grandfathered under a subdivision if it's not subdivided. If it's
No,
not- if
It's
still ag rate,
subdivided, they have a plat.
that's not subdivided. That's a drawing on a piece of paper. If it's not done in that office down the hallway, how is it subdivided?
But it's recorded,
Subdivision
it's recorded in deeds and registration,
that has been,
and it's sealed.
so we're subdividing it in deeds and registration. We're just taxing them at an ag rate for subdivided lots.
See, what happens
How is that possible?
is if you subdivide, you carry it to deeds and registration, They stamp it, they record it, it's done, legal document. Then it leaves there and goes to the assessor's office, and then they cut it out on GIS. And then that's where the tax thing falls in.
Sure. So if that's not done, it's, at that point, it's residential rate, right? It's not agricultural rate anymore. I guess what I'm saying is, how do you go through all the steps of, if it's not on the books as subdivided, I mean, all the way to the tax assessor's office, how is it subdivided? It theoretically, it's just.
Because it's recorded.
I think,
And then 20 years from now, 20 years from now, they come up and say, hey, I've got, this is recorded. Here's the timestamp. This is a legal document.
I hear you, and I agree with you. How are we letting that happen? though?
But you know of some, Derek, that is broken out, that is getting the ag rate. So that's where,
I think that's the problem. How did they get
How
the
did it
tax
get
rate
there is what I'm
on
getting-
lots?
whenever it was broken out,
Years and years ago.
You can
All
certainly
I'm gonna
change
say.
those now.
But, for me, it's hard to, and I get how we got there, but I'm all for grandfathering stuff in, but if all you did was break it up and record it and nothing really changed, it's not subdivided to me. It has to, that's what needs to change. If you subdivide it, it leaves the deeds office, it goes to the assessor's office immediately. Now we're
Totally
talking about
agree.
grandfathering you in.
Well, especially if you've been paying residential rates on
Yes.
each lot.
Absolutely.
If you haven't done that, then I'm not sure you've actually been subdivided.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. That's,
Because, yeah, you've got it approved to do it, but you haven't done it.
That's why,
I'm amazed we even go to the.
that's why I'm wanting to do time limits. Because y'all don't understand, I get this question a lot. And then I have to go see Coleman, and we put our heads together and have to make a decision.
Why don't we start the clock? If you come and get a subdivision approved, you subdivide it, you go to the Register of Deeds office, then you go to the tax assessor's office, and now it's a subdivision and the clock starts now. You having a piece of paper that we say, yeah, you can do that if you want to, that's not a subdivision to me. Even if you register it with the Register of Deeds office, I wouldn't even bother starting the clock or grandfathering them in until we had it went through the proper channels.
You're saying follow the tax, how it's being taxed.
Because how do you have a subdivision that's broken up into residential lots paying ag rate on it? That makes no sense to me. But you want to be grandfathered in if the rules change. I'm all for fairness to the citizen, right? But that's abusing the system in the county at that point.
100%.
We're going to give you the benefit of an agricultural tax rate so you can make a little more money when you finish your subdivision. And off the county's backs, which in essence is the rest of the taxpayers, right?
I wonder how many's out there.
The easiest thing to do would be just say, if y'all get it approved, it's got to be recorded and you got to go on and break it up and pay residential rates on it.
Right.
Or
All right?
you're not a
If you want to
subdivision.
not pay residential rates, put it back on a lot, that's fine, but you're going to go back through the process again.
Well, here's my thing. If you come and get it approved and you choose not to go that route, you're not a subdivision, you're not grandfathered in.
Nope.
We're good with it, but if anything changes, 30 days from now, if you decide you want to do it, you better check in because you're being held to the standard of the day you do that. That's just the cleanest way to do it to me.
Is there a lot of these out there, Derek?
Huh?
How many are out there that are in this exact scenario that are quote-unquote have been approved and grandfathered but are not paying residential rates on the lots?
Too many to count. This is a big problem.
This is going to be a conversation too.
And it's gonna
Because Are we
be-
going to grandfather them in?
There's gonna be more than
What are we
one
gonna do?
conversation about this.
Derek, they haven't technically been approved. They just went and cut out the lots.
No, they've been approved.
Oh.
We got the stamp from my office, approved.
But how did they
Final
get back to
approval.
ag? I can't follow how it got from being approved and recorded,
Because it never went.
then it
to
should have went to
subdivision.
GIS to be broke out
Yep.
and taxed, to being, that didn't happen, now it's agricultural. How did
Because it
that?
sounded like it never left agricultural rate.
That's a question for the assessor's office.
I know one thing, the county missed out on a lot of revenue over those lots.
I mean, I just wonder if it's the same instance as what we have found, you know, in the last year. All these being broken up that shouldn't have been a subdivision. I think there wasn't real good procedures put in place. One department didn't know what the other department was doing between three departments, and that's the thing that Tim and I was concentrating on, working with Derek. We've had a couple of meetings with those three departments, trying to get, you know, who is the originator of this? Who is responsible for catching this? So I think, you know, that's why a lot of this had gotten done in the past, was one office didn't know what other office was doing and didn't research, and this is what I have gathered, it wasn't really researched in depth.
Anytime y'all have time, I would strongly suggest y'all just sit down on GIS, see how many subdivisions are currently in this county. You will be amazed. And I bet you 75% of them are paying ag rates.
That's gotta stop.
I can name 3 off the top of my head. I'm not going to, but I know of 3 off the top of my head. And they got them cut out. They want to leave them cut out, they're paying ag rates.
Just
I mean,
wait
at
till
this
you're
point,
ready
how
to start
can we-
doing something to break them out and pay the ag rate. I got no problem with that. But once you decide you want to apply for permits and certain,
I personally think we ought to send every one of these landowners a piece of mail and say, currently you're getting ag rates. If you want to continue the subdivision, you're gonna be paid residential. Or if you want to continue ag rates, then this goes away.
So they would combine all that back together?
Absolutely.
They shouldn't have got it anyway. To get an ag rate, you gotta have so much land. You gotta have a certain number, I think it's 5, what is it, 5 or 7, I can't remember the number. You gotta have 5. If you wanna apply for an ag rate at the county, you're supposed to have 5 acres. So a 1 or 2 acre lot should have never been put in as ag use anyway.
so once they survey it into separate lots,
Sir?
once they survey it into separate lots, and if we were to send them that mail and say, okay, you've got 20 lots broken out here, you're going to pay residential rate on these lots, or you're gonna put it back into one parcel and pay ag rate. If at any point in time, say they decided they aren't gonna do the subdivision, if we move forward, say 2 years from now, they decide they want to, they don't have to have that resurvey since they already have a survey, right? They
And
can,
you know, survey's any good.
well, that's true too.
You could answer that question better than anybody.
I was more concerned about not letting them grandfather anything in. If you're, I mean, if you want to convert it back to one parcel, I think that's a great idea. I hate to make somebody that thought they might want to subdivide it, I really hadn't done anything with it, you're telling me I gotta pay residential rate, I'll put it back in one parcel. 2 years from now, they choose to actually move forward with that project, make them follow the rules of the day, at that point in time, whatever the codes and ordinances are. But do you make them resurvey everything? Again, that's a good point, though, is the survey they had any good? I don't know.
I can't answer that question.
I think the homeowner would have to decide that if it meets the requirements of the county. If it will, then the survey will be fine. If it won't, they're gonna have to
Go back and
resurvey to the
subdivide it again
sides,
at that point?
to the size or whatever is current at that time.
All right, so we've talked about time limits. I'm gonna put 2 years, and it can have 1 extension.
Of how long?
Huh?
How long? 1 year?
Yeah, the extension will be 12 months. And, that's a one-time extension. But that is at the time the final plat is approved. Nope, because you have to have all the utilities and everything in prior to final plat approval. But once you get permission to move forward with your subdivision, once we say you can start breaking ground, then the clock starts. And yes, that would be up to my office to keep up with. And I'm gonna point Jermaine out. He's been working with us 3 years, 4 years?
Right, long time, 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years for one subdivision. And we're almost at a point to turn him loose. Almost.
And those are things that myself as a builder developer can't control, got bogged down in red tape.
That's true. And he didn't come for me to point him out, but he's a fine example of what a developer goes through in order to do it, because there's so many regulations. DOT, county, DHEC,
Oh, yeah.
roads, all that, civil. I mean, it's crazy. But we've got a local developer, been working on it 3 or 4 years now, and he's grandfathered in. And, you know, because I've been working with him for a long time on this one project. You got 2 more that we've been talking about, so. Anyway, and I am gonna put verbiage in there about the county no longer accepts roads and pave it. We don't pave anymore. So, didn't mean to take this long, but
It's important stuff.
so, y'all got any, if you got any more questions, or if you want to see the flag lot stuff, it's on my desk, and I will be glad to provide it for you, or you can wait until we roll it out. However you wish. Any questions for me? Turn it back over to you, sir.
According to the agenda, that was all we had today. We ready to adjourn? I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Yes, sir. We went through it, you just weren't here yet. You you might have still been out there, but you're welcome to, go ahead.
Restroom.
Come on up.
So start, my watch was wrong? You started at 9?
Well, I
I
saw you
think
come in.
that you were in the back
Yeah,
restroom.
when we,
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that.
that's all right.
fine.
That's all right.
Just a couple things. Thank you for these couple minutes. And which Derek has a big job with the subdivision thing. It's a big elephant, has a lot of pieces, and in my opinion, I know people might be chomping at the bits, but you need to take your time to make informed decisions with all the information. It's not he doesn't have a one-size-fit-all right now, and there's lots of variables. And I understand as we continue to grow as a county, you need to have controlled growth, but also on the other hand, that needs to be balanced. You don't want to get too restrictive. At the end of the day, the more restrictions you have with the developers or builders, eventually that's passed on to the citizens of the customers. So the more restrictions, the more costly the project becomes, the more expensive it becomes for the individual homeowner or citizen. One quick thing on lot size, because that was a piece I was very interested in, not only from the development standpoint, but from a citizen standpoint. As Derek said, we already have restrictions in place. With the half acre, you have DHEC. If it's too small, they can't put a house on it. You can't get a system designed there. So I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel there because of the restriction in place. And also, the other thing with the lot size, that's why I came in person. I've just been hearing from the grapevine on how the council felt, but they were saying, okay, the houses are too close together, too small, but at the end of the day, you have to remember people make the choice of where they want to live and what they want to purchase. I've been in this business now 25 years, and the growth that we're seeing now in the Pageland area with the people moving in, they don't want these large lots. They're coming from a demographic where low to no maintenance at all. The less they have to maintain, the better. We, and I include myself as that, I'm local, born and raised in this county. Yeah, me personally, I like a lot of property. But we got to realize who the people are that's coming and the people that's actually writing the check and making that purchase, keep them in mind as well. Because everybody don't want a half acre, everybody don't want an acre. So we have to understand everybody's mindset and just don't have blinders on what we personally think or feel. We need to keep all the citizens involved, and that way, the more choices for the customer. As America, we're a capitalistic society where people have choices, and the more competition, the better, and that's better for the citizens at the end of the day, the choices they have, instead of putting everybody in a cookie cutter. But I'm not gonna keep no more of your time. And one more thing, major, minor subdivisions, great idea. Like I said, I've not only Chesterfield County, I build in Lancaster County, I build in Union County, North Carolina as well. So as a small local developer, I'm competing against large developers every day, and this is a great idea, the major and minor. I think some discussion and thought need to be put into your threshold on the number of houses for a minor. I know you have just thrown it 5, 10, 15, 20, but to me, that'd be like a sub-minor. I think we should be looking at more 30 or 40 threshold for the minor. The larger guys, they're gonna wanna do hundreds, of course, 100, 120, 150, 200, 300. And we're also insulated from that in a sense. They're not gonna wanna come to Chesterfield County to build large subdivisions because we don't have a countywide sewer system. If you do your research, you'll see high-density building is not gonna be in the unincorporated areas of the county. They're going where the sewer is. So, to me, that part has been used as a scare tactic to the citizens. The big boys are coming, they're gonna build these large subdivisions in county, when in all reality, you look at it, that's highly unlikely. That's not gonna happen because they need a sewer system to make their high density work. But thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for your comments. Anybody else?
What we've seen in Pageland is the town is, Jermaine's right, because they don't have sewer, so they have to petition the town to be annexed in, to gain access to their sewer system. So properties that have the ability to be annexed in certainly could be accessible as long as the sewer could be ran to those. But those are local municipalities that would have to annex that in, you know? With a lot of land in the sand lands of our county have smaller sewer systems. If you go up and toward the state line, they have clay, and it's gonna be a lot larger septic systems up there. So you're gonna have 800 feet of linear drainage on just one system. So that's a big system, large system. That's gonna limit what size house can go on a lot anyway.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.